Hello, everyone, and welcome to the B2B Marketing Excellence in AI podcast. Today, I am beyond excited. And the reason why is I am constantly talking about how to market industrial brands, because how you market industrial brands is totally different than a pair of shoes or professional services. And today, we will be speaking to Brian Contini from Pennant Molding. He is the VP of Sales and Marketing. Not only is he going to give us insights on marketing, he's also going to bring in some of that sales aspect, which we all want to hear about. Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Hey, good afternoon, Donna. How are you?
Good. Now, you've been in the industry for so many years. I know you've been in metals and plastics and always in the manufacturing space. With all the noise that is out in the marketplace right now, what
Mhm.
traditional marketing methods do you still feel work? And why do you think you should continue to do that? And will they resonate with your audience?
Great question. From our standpoint, some of the traditional methods that we're still continuing to use are trade shows, interactions of that sort. Perfect examples. We're all leading up right now to FabTech's coming up next month, the beginning of September. Unfortunately, I will not be attending FabTech
Oh,
this year because of the RE Plus, the Renewable Energy Show in Vegas, which is the largest renewable energy show in the US. Everything from that you think of, it's from water, wind, sun, any kind of renewable energy, traditional electrical, EV vehicles, everything. That's something that we put a lot of thought into. And we utilize artificial intelligence to get market intel and to be able
yes.
to understand what ICPs, what ideal customer profiles we need to focus on while we're there. It's still the traditional handshaking. We're setting up meetings, we're going to go out to
Mhm.
dinners, we're going to do interactions. It's a funny thing
That's
because we all think
that's how
about
you build those relationships. And when
absolutely.
you meet someone in person, and I think you're going the right strategy. To me, in-person meetings are the highest. They are the
Mhm.
best way to connect with someone and really get to know and understand them.
Before we jump in, your host is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence and AI podcast. We come to you every week with actionable tips and suggestions that can help you be more efficient, create better marketing plans, and be a salesperson that really closes those leads.
If you think back about 5 years ago when we really didn't have a whole lot of interpersonal communications, we
Yeah.
really realized how important that was. And I think about those times and when we were all kind of air quotes sitting on the sidelines doing what we're doing now, which is virtual,
Yes.
which is great. There's silver linings to that cloud that allowed us to be able to really engage in these kind of virtual meetings. However, the personal touch was lost and there was a real gap that needed to be filled. So what we did in the sales side is understood that and said, hey, there is a push for people to be interactive and for people to be in the same room together. There are
They
aspects
need to
of
get
that.
out from behind their computers. They need to meet people. And then, like you said, you can still use the AI component that everyone is promoting out there to follow up with those leads,
Absolutely.
to keep
And we
that
do that
conversation going after you're back from the trade shows.
100%. And that's a great thing too, because all of these trade shows offer some kind of digital account
Yeah.
tracking. In other words, when you go through it, you're going to be able to track who visited your booth, email, so forth, so on. You get all that information. What do you do with it? You create your targeted account market. So you're trying to go out and figure out who you are going to actually be focused on. And you take that information, you pour it into a spreadsheet, you pop it, later all up, and then you allow ChatGPT or whatever your AI preference
Yeah.
is to be able to go through that, scrub it, and populate it with a number of different things. A,
Yeah.
prioritize it. What fits what you do. B, what materials you can sell them because we've been talking to ChatGPT. They know what we do. So it interacts. It allows you to be able to do it. Once you have your addressable markets all quarantined, and then you just release it to the sales team, and they're
Yeah.
able to go out and do the follow-ups.
They're going to be effective because now you know what area those people are in. You're going to give them the information they're actually looking for versus
Yeah,
just bombarding them with generic messaging or something that is not even relevant to them.
100%. And we piggyback off of what you've done and what you've mentioned in your podcast previously, which is use some kind of card campaign.
Yeah.
So we're going to go out and we're going to use a hand note to follow up with all of our customer base. Again, a traditional method of communications that is part of the sales cycle outside of the new fab of AI processing. It's definitely evolving, but that's what we're seeing is that trade shows, touch points, traditional meetings, engaging. We call them lunch and learns, which is basically visiting a customer, walking through their product, offering some input. We call it DFM, design for manufacturing. How can we help support that? So it's the solutions-based sales cycle that a computer can give you intel on how to approach, but can't take you all the way to where you're really realistically giving that customer the solution they're looking for.
Well, that's what I say. I speak often on AI and I train people on AI, but there is nothing like in person, and a computer can't do that. And a computer or AI right now can't do the critical thinking that an individual can. And when you sit down with someone, you and I met recently in June, and you get to know the individual.
Also, you talk about that meeting, that's getting traditional methods. Our sales team, we're all over the place. So we don't have the ability to kind of get into a room very often and bounce things off each other. And to be completely honest, Zoom calls are great. Don't get me wrong. They really bridge the gap of communication when you're so far away, but they're not the same thing as being in the room, feeling the pulse of the conversation, being able to really understand and continue to learn. It's a funny thing because that meeting, we didn't know if it was going to have success or not, getting us all around there. You get 5, 6, 7 salespeople and a couple of marketing people all in one room. You don't know what's going to happen. You try to keep it structured. We are who we are, right? We're extroverts for a reason. It was great. It was great to have you there. And we really looked at it as a traditional touch point. And that's something that we do of an internal sales process.
So I should just tell our listeners what Brian's talking about is I recently, at the beginning of June, went to Pennant and we did an AI presentation to both their sales and marketing teams. But like he was saying, they all got together in one room to collaborate on different topics, talk about AI. How could they use it? Maybe, and some of them even said, no, I can't use it for that. But others were like, oh, that's an interesting idea. I have to try it. And these are the sort of things that happen when you meet in person. And what's so great about Pennant is that you guys understand the importance of getting the entire team to embrace AI and to figure out how to utilize it in a way that Pennant is on a direct path to achieving its goals.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we do when we look at focusing on who we're going to go out, who we're going to target, how are we going to identify. And we use the acronyms. I feel like sales has become the branch of the military with all the acronyms nowadays. But
yes.
When you look at your ideal customer profile and you're looking at your go-to-market strategy, what separates you from your competition? We rely a little bit, I should say a little bit, probably a little more than we should, on the AI process, right? It's certainly a baseline. It needs to be scrubbed. It needs to be tailored. It needs to be catered towards your business model. But it certainly is a stepping stone into helping you get to the next level.
It helps save you time of researching things that you can really dive into the meat of it and then start to pick things apart. But like you said, it's a baseline. We still have to verify facts. And no one ever said ChatGPT or any of these large language models were going to be tried and true, like these are the definite answers. No, they were set up as tools that we're supposed to communicate with.
Absolutely. And an extension of that too, sat through enough presentations. I have not really turned down an opportunity to understand more about a person's product if it helps our team be able to flow through the sales process a little bit more efficiently. And it's interesting to see everybody's jumping on this niche market. Where can you go? How can you fit? We utilize a number of different platforms that are baselined around artificial intelligence. Everything uses
everything now. I think every platform has some type of AI component to it.
Correct.
Just back to our point of people need to use it wisely.
Absolutely.
Now, you have sold into very specific technical markets. I know lawn and garden OEMs and automotive. When you're trying to reach those buyers, how do you choose where to focus your time and your budget?
Great question. The first and foremost is what we do is we want to focus on what Pennant is good at, right? What do we do well? And how can we help customers with their particular inside gremlins? What are they dealing with on a daily basis that we can help support? Because that's really where we're going to have the most traction. What we do as a company is not necessarily unique. How we approach it may be.
Yeah.
We're good in certain buckets and certain silos that another metal fabricator, metal stamper. And by the way, sidebar, since we've last met, we did acquire a metal fabrication company. So we've even grown more into our space.
Good.
We're a little bit unique.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's something that complements our business, but
Good.
it fits back into that. Where do you target? Because now you've added another set of processes to
Right.
your capability matrix. So what we really look at is there's a number of different things, not to go too far into the weeds, but there's certifications that are restricting. Aerospace has a specific certification. Automotive has a certain certification that you need to be a part of. We are heavily into the appliance market. However, we've pivoted and diversified our market into lawn and garden, into motorsports, solar power, renewable energy is a big push for us. Realistically, we kind of try to swim in those markets that we're really good at and what we understand, because we understand the ordering swells. We understand that it's going to be something maybe seasonal. You talk about ag, right? Front loaded into the beginning, the first, second quarters, because everything else is being distributed in the summertime. We are an opportunistic company. We definitely deal with a lot of other things that are underneath our footprint. In the RV industry, we do products for just about anything you can think of. We do a little bit of automotive, not much, but pretty diversified in that footprint.
That's so important, is to be diversified. I had a podcast, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, when I was talking to Lori Turner Wilson, and it was all about making sure you are diversified. You said agricultural or lawn might be very busy right now, but then they're going to get slow, and you have to have something for everyone to do.
And for us, it's the 80-20 approach, right?
Yeah.
The 80% focus is going to be in the silos that we've dedicated to be our customer profiles, where we think we can have some good traction and understand what their needs, wants are. And then 20% of that is also looking outside of that. Okay, we need to be opportunistic, like we mentioned. And we
always
do traditional
look for
campaigns.
other possible markets that you can help, because you want to get that fringe. You want to get those fringe businesses.
Full transparency, our presses don't give a rip about what they run, right? They don't care. They go up and down. It's up to us to figure out what we can put in there and what makes sense to our customer base. We are selectively opportunistic, which means we are definitely selective of who we operate with and where we go. But however, there's really nothing that's ever off the table as far as companies that we're willing to work with, and markets as well too. If it fits us, we can do it to where we think that the customer satisfaction is going to be where we need it to be, then we're willing to pursue.
You're looking more for a good synergy than, say, a particular industry or a company.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I think some of your folks on the podcast before have always mentioned, that references are great leads, right? A lot of people in our industries don't leave their industries. People in appliance stay in appliance.
Yes.
Maybe once in a while they'll move on. Perfect example, we did have somebody move from appliance into HVAC, which is an interesting jump, but they did. But it's similar, right? Similar kind of concepts, similar kind of machinery. And it led to a lead. They called us up and said, hey, I worked with you when I was at company A. Now I'm at company B. Remember you guys being a great company and like to engage. References are always something that is key. And those cannot be impersonated by AI.
This goes all back to the relationship you formed with this individual, because you had a good relationship with them, because they knew, hey, we can trust Pennant. They're going to come, they're going to deliver, and it's going to be a smooth transaction. People will ask me all the time, we're 45 years. We just celebrated our anniversary. 45 years old, and people say, where do you get all your leads? And I said, a lot of it is referrals. It's just people we've worked with that have moved on. And like you said, people don't really leave this space of industrial B2B. Once you're in it and you understand it, people stay. And I think you might agree. I love this space. I think people in this space are very grounded and nice, hardworking people, and I enjoy working with them.
Talk about traditional methods of communication versus utilizing AI. We would not have met had you not done a presentation for PMA at their major showcase earlier this year. That was a traditional method. You're doing a presentation. You meet our CEO who introduces you to us. Next thing you know, we're having conversation. That would have happened regardless if ChatGPT existed or not. So there is hope, right?
There is hope, but we all have to get out there. Now, you and I both agree that email can be a powerful tool.
Correct.
When it's done right. That's the key. What are you seeing works the best when it comes to getting buyers to actually open and respond to your emails?
Yeah, good question. The content is obviously the key aspect of that. You
Yes.
want to make sure that you're giving a short, succinct message that doesn't run on. Second thing is, don't make it look AIE, if that's the right word. If it's got the bold in it, or it's got emojis, or if it's the clear, you just know that it just was populated out of some program. It's now, where's this going to lead to? And then also making sure that you know your audience and you're direct marketing to the right people. There's all the statistics that were out there about when you're doing drip campaigns, which we engage in a number of different drip campaigns to try to focus on our markets. Our open rate was actually surprisingly really good, because what we do roll forming process, which is, it's not as widely utilized as what a stamping process would be. So they see roll forming. Wow, okay, we need somebody who's roll forming. It was opened up. So we highlighted roll forming all over our email. We are roll formers. So showcase what you do, showcase what might be a unique aspect to your company that allows you to get attention. And there's no real recipe. The only thing I will say is that no attachments. Attachments get flagged. They get blocked by your firewall a number of different times. And keep it short, and keep your message very dedicated to what you do, how you do it, and what makes it, why I would open it. Think of it that way.
Yeah. I know you and I agree on the emoji issue.
Yeah, no good.
Listeners, please stop with the emojis. I don't want to see rockets, and don't use the green box with the arrow. We all know that's AI generated.
Correct. Yep.
Because what you brought up a very good point. You don't want to just be talking in broad general terms. You got to talk about your company, what's unique. You're only talking about your company as an underlining thing. Really, what you're talking about is the individual, what challenges they're having. You're trying to give them valuable information that they'll take in and be like, oh my goodness, Pennant gets me. Pennant understands what I need to accomplish. I'm going to reach out to them.
Absolutely. There's always, in the sales process, there's a number of different ways to approach it. And I think salespeople sometimes get a bad rap. We get lumped in with the short.
The used car salesman?
That's exactly right. The funny thing, sidebar, this funny thing about the used car salesman is that 70% of people still buy cars from dealerships. Although they have plenty of alternatives, they still go to dealerships. Why? Because it's turnkey. It's easy. Yeah. You go there, yes, you're getting sold, and nobody wants to do it, but it's turnkey. So there's a good lesson for any kind of organization. Make your customer experience seamless and turnkey, although we probably would never consider a dealership to be seamless. You walk in there, they can take care of your title, they can take care of your transaction, they can put you in the car, you're driving it. It is a lesson to be learned.
That is interesting. And it goes back to when you're talking about platforms and reviewing platforms to help streamline the process of your team. Same thing. That's why maybe people go back to the car dealership, because they've streamlined the process for all of us, because everyone is short on time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone is trying to figure out how to do their jobs better in a shorter period of time. And that's what we're supposed to be doing as our companies. This is how we're supposed to help people.
That's absolutely correct.
Now, we've talked a little bit about how AI can help you, but it can't replace real relationships, because we talked about a person being the best, especially in industries like yours. How do you see AI supporting what you and your team are doing without losing that personal touch that really matters?
From our standpoint, the utilization of AI has become almost like your personal assistant. Yeah. So when you're doing research on a company, it is invaluable in how much information you can pull through a couple of keystrokes and prep you for your call, whatever that may be in your sales cycle. Yeah. If you're in a discovery phase of your cycle and you're just trying to understand what somebody does, and you can pull a full deck out of AI and say, hey, this is what they do. This is what they've been good at. This is their history. Imagine, you remember how hard that used to be to get 20 years ago? And now it's a 2-second operation. Yeah. To me, that's pretty cool.
I agree.
But it certainly gives you the information to be able to have right at your fingertips.
And you still have to double check that information. But like you said, instead of searching, okay, what are the 10 spots I need to look at? You have those 10 spots. Now you can dive into the deeper research on it.
Yeah, and you raised a good point. You absolutely have to double check. You do not want to just go in there with
Yeah.
blind information from AI because AI is basically a search helmet. You don't know exactly where it's pulling that from.
Right.
So we have found that we ask the same question 2 or 3 times. We can get different answers, and you have to really dive in and make sure that it's factual. For the most part, if it's just a general understanding of what the company does, the information is right there. And that is something that has really been advantageous for salespeople because
Yes.
we've had to really ask so many questions just to get it. Now we're ahead of the curve. For salespeople, for people in general, it's good to know if the relationship has any sustainability right from the very beginning on the buyer side and on the sales side.
Right, because
Buyers are
then you're
busy.
not hounding someone who'll never be
Right.
interested. The sales team's not wasting their time. It's a win-win, really, for everyone.
Yep. And we have a lot of respect for our customer base. They are
Yeah.
busy. They're not answering emails because they don't want to. They're answering because they've got 19 other fires they're trying to put out.
Right.
Supply chain management is very difficult in this time. You
Yes.
sat through us when we were going through our tariff mitigation. We're
Yes.
trying to figure out how do we formulate and understand the tariffs that are coming in? How do we support that? As a US based company with US based manufacturing, we were positioned to help a lot of companies reshore tools. And we did a lot of that. And there's
Yeah.
companies now that are launching a lot of reshoring efforts back to the US. Whether we don't even think of it as being anything more than just we're pragmatic and it's binary to us. It's yes or no. We can't control the political landscape, so we just have to figure out how to deal with it. And that's AI has been, if you're talking about trying to find out what tariff just happened yesterday,
Yes.
what's changing today, what's being pushed out, 301 tariff versus the 232 tariff, is it a derivative? How often is it going to go? What country is it coming from?
Yeah.
That's helped support a lot of that information. And having us
Research is a great way of using AI, especially if you can start using specific prompts that the entire team uses, because I think I did a how-to video on this about prompt engineering. But if you set up prompts, then the entire team is getting information back in the same format with the same details. You're able to compare apples to apples. It's not that Donna's doing it one way, but Brian's doing it another way. And when we look at the information, it's, I don't know.
That's exactly right. It does make it so that things are on an equal playing field, if you will. And AI is the great equalizer. It really is. There's some pretty smart, intelligent people out there that had the ability to be ahead of the curve, and AI brings everybody up along with it.
I think with intelligence, but also size. Smaller organizations couldn't compete with the larger guys. And now with AI, if people set it up properly and with perfect workflows where ChatGPT might be talking to my HubSpot, but we're using Zapier in between. Those connectors could really go back to your point of making the process seamless so that it gets done faster and we're more efficient as a company.
Yeah, absolutely. How you set your sales department up is a big thing too. We operate under 3 different buckets: the lead generation department, the business development department, and the account management department. The SLR guys can go in there and start to dig and do research. The BDM guys can figure out how do we help support. And the account management people can figure out, okay, because business retention is the number one focus. It should be. Growing your department is always something you want to do, but business retention is where the sales leadership should always be focused with a promotion on the development side. We've got to retain our customers.
It amazes me when I go into some companies and they are not talking to their customers. They're not regularly offering them more valuable information. And I try to explain, I give them all the statistics, I give how much it's going to be to get a new customer versus retaining the people you have. But you don't want the sales cycle to be like this. You want your sales cycle to be like this. And that comes from retaining your customer base.
Spot on. Absolutely. Probably heard, I just felt my CEO and president grab their chest when I mentioned that my focus is on business retention versus business expansion. But truth is, one leads to the other.
Yes.
Develop a good product, retain your customers, word of mouth transitions into more business. So it's all reciprocal.
I think it gets down to, and this is a big thing I say to people all the time, it's just give out information, give out value, offer people more information. The sales will come. And I had to learn this. When I first came into the industry, I was all sales. I'm not
Hmm.
going to that networking event. There won't be possible clients for us. I'm not doing this. It was
Absolutely.
all about, can I meet the person? Are they going to buy from me? And now I'm just like, let's give out the information.
Yeah. And with buyers and people in general are savvy. People love to buy. They
Yeah.
hate to be sold, right? It's a completely different ideology. Nobody wants to walk away from feeling that they just got sold. They want to feel that they bought a product or they engaged in a company that is going to be supportive of their purchasing. The last thing you want is somebody to go home and have that buyer remorse.
And I think
Front load
companies
that.
are also being very cautious now because we've all heard the pitch. We've all fallen for the pitch. We've all gotten burned by the pitch. And
Correct.
I think that's where sometimes marketing has a hard time because people are like, "Ah, really? Are they pitching
Yeah.
me? Are they doing this?" And this also brings up the point of why in person is so important because now with marketing, people are like, is this an AI message or is this really Donna Peterson coming into me? Where if you meet them at a trade show, they're like, okay, yeah, that is
Yeah.
actually her. Or
Yeah.
even this, our video, people are going to see that actually is Brian. That is
Hmm.
what Pennant's doing.
It's funny too. You mentioned that we always chat and we laugh about the empathetic and the authenticity of the sales process is really what allows people to move forward. Just completely by happenstance, my team, the team that on our team, I'm the excitable bull in a china shop type of. That's just how I was raised back in the day. It's how we all grew up. My team is an empathetic sales force that really has a disarming array to it. And I'm not breaking my own patent. I did nothing to do this. They all were here when I got here. They're just really good about asking the right questions and making people feel comfortable. And I'm like, we just had this conversation today about the sales team. What a great bunch of people that really understand that our communication, our message needs to be, yes, we are in manufacturing, but we really do want to understand how we can help service our customers, because all that does is make full transparency. That makes our lives easier. If we go out and take on something that we can't do, it's not a lot of fun when you're having to call that customer saying, we can't do this. We didn't do this. We had quality issues. We had delivery issues.
It's going to
They
take you
happen.
longer, and then the client's going to be upset. But I think the salespeople, they're like that because they're getting it from above in your company. Greg and Chris must be permeating that down through everyone in the company. And when you get a nice group of people that enjoy working together, respect
Yes,
each other, they're going to stay. And the longer your people stay, you're able to move the needle because you're working together. You're getting better and better.
absolutely. It's a very true statement. It's all about progression, not perfection. The backbone of Pennant as we started to move forward and as we decided, hey, we want to grow. How do we do that? That was the big thing, was like, hey, we know we're going to make mistakes. We know we're going to have issues. How do we mitigate our risk? The addition of artificial intelligence into the workforce and things of ChatGPT has certainly allowed us to be a little bit more advised on certain situations, if you will. There's always going to be a need for the personal touch. There's always going to need for the interaction, but that doesn't mean you have to buck technology, right?
No.
It doesn't mean you have to just walk away from it. Embrace it, use it what it's for. It's not going to replace us.
You're right.
It's still moving forward.
Brian, I've enjoyed this conversation and I could talk to you for the rest of the
Yeah,
afternoon.
thank you. Me too, vice versa.
I want to thank you very much for your time today, and I wish you the best at the Renewable Energy Show.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Yeah, best of luck to you, and looking forward to further conversations.
Okay, talk to you later.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the World Innovators B2B Marketing Excellence and AI podcast. If you'd like to be updated when new episodes come out, don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out our social media accounts to stay up to date on B2B marketing trends.